We are officially live. Welcome to the Killer Be Killed podcast. I'm your host, Damian Ross, for the most unlistened to podcast on the interwebs. Thank you for taking the time. Check us out. Much appreciated. So, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope all is well with you and yours. So we are going to be set to roll right now. So a couple things. Let's just get into our usual hate mail stuff, shall we? All right. Where is this? Okay. All right. So this is from our Protectors ad. This dude, Andre, I don't know, let's just say his name. This guy actually made a business model out of men's fear. And essentially, if you don't know the ad, it is, it's about calling all men to become a protector. I am calling people out. Seems we're losing a lot of that these days. Again, nothing new. I'm not like breaking any new ground here, but what we focus on with this is just calling you out. I mean, the reality is most people don't know the first thing about protecting themselves, even though it's in there. You just got to know how to unlock it. I mean, we've been kind of castrated, if you will, for lack of a better term, from being able to defend and protect. See, at a very young age, started with my generation, you would hear things like, not all violence never solves anything. All violence is bad, all that stuff. So reality is not all violence is bad. I mean, violence is very necessary and it's used as a tool when all other options are exhausted. And the reality is most men don't know the first thing about it. When's the last time anybody's actually been in an altercation? When's the last time anybody who's, think about, go down the list. How many altercations have you been in your life? How many times have you had to deal with violence? Have you ever, been in a contact sport? Most people don't even understand what it's like to put your will against another human being. And that's, when you talk about sports of will, you're looking at contact sports, boxing, football, baseball. I mean, wrestling, obviously, sambo, all the combative arts. And I would even say at some point, on some level, basketball. I mean, you're physical, you're pushing yourself in, you're pushing yourself beyond your limit, you're reaching deep. I mean, many people just don't understand that concept, and have never dealt with that before. The vast majority of the people walking around there. So yeah, society has sterilized us into not knowing how to comprehend or deal with any sort of violence. So our guy here, says, I'm like, my response is fear, reality, fact. What's the point here? Just disgusted at your maggot style business model. Technically, it's an ad, not a business model. And my response, of course, is no one cares about your opinion. I guess the truth hurts, and I think it's great that your wife is letting you ride her bike. Good on you. Of course, we get an awesome underneath. Funny thing is, you go to the guy's profile, he's an older dude, he's riding a Sportster. I mean, I get it, and I totally, busting this guy's chops here. I have Harleys, I've had motorcycles, I've owned Sportsters. I think they're actually good bikes. They're really good bikes. They're actually better than the big twins because the way the transmission and the motor are mounted, it's center balance. They're a lot of fun to ride. But that said, I know that guy hates having to ride a Sportster because all the guys are riding big twins. So, taking a little dig at him at his expense. And yeah, so that's fine. And we should do one more here before we get to, let's see what this one is. Oh, nope, that's not us. That's my kids being home. Yeah. So this one I like. it's a kid throwing a rock at a tank. And, you know, again, this is like on the armor ads. I don't understand why people politicize this, but they do. His response, you know, his bit was, his comment is, well, you know, he's like, it's, the meme is the power of propaganda had the whole world believing the guy in the tank was the victim. Again, I don't understand how that is relevant. My response was like, well, you know, the tank clearly has the right of way. So I don't know, just having some fun on his expense. Yeah. So next, I just want to start taking a look at, there's a lot of things going around with there's a lot of I don't know if you're getting in your feed like self-defense close calls. So a little thing I want to talk about is, you know, what is real and what is clickbait. So first one is going to be, bear with me while I pull the video up, please. Okay. So, okay, good. I'll share this tab instead. Let me make sure you guys can see this. We just say add to stage. Okay, good. All right. So 40-year-old woman, this is the post. 40-year-old woman and 29-year-old, no, sorry, disregard. Can't even read. 40-year-old woman and 29-year-old woman in separate incidents. One of the victims and occurs picked Livingston out of a police lineup and told CBS reporter Dave Savini, he stood up there. He stood about this far from me, punched me, and just kept walking up North Street. Again, this was from a Chicago man with a lengthy rap sheet for assaulting a white woman. He's finally hit with the felony charges for 2 unprovoked attacks in June. CBS Chicago investigation reveals that William Livingston has been arrested at least 20 times since 2012, yet somehow keeps walking free shortly after judges deemed him not to be a threat to the public despite his repeated assaults. You know, a lot of these are coming out and they're playing on the fact that, you know, you do have repeat offenders and it does energize the base. Let's just take a look at it and see this is you know, if this is real or clickbait. I mean, I don't know. You know, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Real or clickbait? Who knows? You know, my initial thought was that this was clickbait, just because the nature of it is just basically shoulder checks her, and you've got like 2 camera angles here. You could make the argument that this is you know, CCTV TV, but well, it just seems like you could be staged. I'm trying to see if she loses her glasses in the second. Lost her glasses there. So here. Yep, she loses her glasses again. So yeah. Could it be real? Yeah, I guess. You know, my only question when I see these things is like, one, it's an assault without a doubt. But it's not something that would be, I don't see the police like digging into this, to be quite honest. So if somebody were to come, if you went down, if you called the cops and said some guy elbowed me, they're going to ask, are you hurt? Do you need medical attention? Most likely no. And they're going to leave it at that. I don't think they're going to go start grabbing camera footage just because of this. So that's what leads me to believe that this was clickbait. If we look up the woman who is mentioned Let me just say, where's your name? And occurs. Okay, so let's just one moment, please. String of attacks and occurs. So this was reported on. This was reported on CBS. This is CBSNews.com, Chicago. So 2 women were punched, technically not punched, but still assaulted while walking in Lincoln Park in the Loop. They were attacked by the same man. Other women have also been assaulted. The man accused of the attacks has long been long record of being arrested, prosecuted, and quickly set free. Attack again. So, yeah, I mean, this appears to be legit. Now, just take a look at this. Now, how can we have now? We talk about personal space a lot in our training and in what we do. So, you look at this here. As you're walking, it's good to give a wide berth. You see, people are coming in. Manage your personal space. Stay out of the way. If I see somebody coming towards me, this is very, you're getting set up. I mean, anyone who's walked through a bar in their youth knows that, you're getting ready for, the chest bump. So don't be completely clueless. This is way too close. And you'll get a better angle at it coming the other way. Here, right here, right? You're thinking, start creating space. We're here. You've got plenty of room to move. And he's just like, you can see him starting to load up, but you're not paying attention to this when you're walking. I guarantee you, I'm not. Somebody's walking by me, I may get a vibe, but I'm not depending on that. So what you really want to do is just get in the habit of giving people enough room. So if they have to hit you, they need to shift their weight. She needs to be like 1 body length, 1/2 body length to the other side. Because right when you get here, it's you're starting to get really close and you're walking in the street. Now, again, if you're like a normal person and you're not, thinking about these things, yeah, you would be, I'm just walking past this person. Right. So, but you're not, you're here and you're thinking about this stuff. So, give yourself that extra couple feet. You got plenty of room to do it. And, move out of the way. Again, you're getting down to, managing your personal space, making sure you've got that reactionary gap. You're not, letting people in, and you're just, paying attention to, what's going on around you. Next one up. Let me just get rid of this one. Okay. 1 second, please bear with me, people. Yeah. Okay, now this was picked up by the news. There we go. Okay. All right. So here's the news report.
They're convinced this was a kidnapping attempt, but Union City police, while saying the girl was brave, say they don't think these guys were targeting her or her family.
She just is smart enough to react fast enough, right? And we're very blessed.
Video circulating on social media shows an 8-year-old girl outside her Union City home getting ready for school when she sees 4 young men get out of a car across the street. She quickly turns around and runs to her house, but the 4 chase after her. The girl's mother screamed at them and slammed the front door shut, blocking them from coming inside. It happened at about 7:45 Friday morning on time. Not want to be identified.
We're very proud of our daughter for being vigilant and alert. If she didn't react fast enough, it could have been a kidnapping.
Who are we to tell that this is not a kidnapping or attempted kidnapping?
She was awesome. She was so sharp.
and aware of her surroundings.
Union City investigators
Of a crime of opportunity, waiting for somebody in the area to either come out to get in their car or someone to be out walking in the morning.
And it's a learning lesson for the community, right? It's a learning lesson for the community to teach our children to be vigilant, to be alert, not to be on their phones and distracted on the streets, because any situation.
Well, you just got to be really callous to be chasing after somebody's young like that.
Neighbor Tafu Makasini says there's no question the group was after the little girl.
It was clear as day, like because they ran faster trying to catch her.
All right. So I'm going to take a hot take on this. For some reason, this feels like bullshit. Only because, I've got kids, I've got 8-year-olds. I know when people and now there's this a fact. I mean, if anybody came in my yard, my kids would automatically run in the house. If there was somebody new and, something felt off, they definitely have done that for sure. I live on, even though my house a little setback, I live on a busy street. People have a tendency to pull in the driveway and pull out. But again, that's coming into my driveway. These people are parking across the street. I start to get like, she starts reacting like as soon as they're getting out of the car.
The group was after the little girl.
See, now she knows to run. Right? These people are just, this group is just getting out of the car. I mean, again, everyone is like, giving her props, but it strikes me as weird because, I could see her doing this,
like because they
and then now that she's leaving, the criminals are still pursuing her. Unless she's specifically targeted and then they would think of, another plan to snatch her. I mean, one, they have to know she's getting out, or children, or you're in a neighborhood where children are getting out of their homes by themselves, which is unusual. My kid, is not, my 8-year-old's not going to the car by themselves. Right? They're not. I'm like, I'm going to be at the door. I'm going to be in close proximity for them, so I can keep an eye on them, especially as we're getting out the door, we're going to school. I mean, this is a morning thing. So, these guys are waiting for any kid, or they're waiting for this specific kid. And the fact that, she's seeing this right now and they're just getting out of the car. I can't hear if they're saying anything to her. If they're saying something to her, I get that would trigger her to probably be like, I'm going to get the hell out of here. But
Question: the group was after the little girl.
And now she's taken off.
Like, because they ran faster trying to.
Why are they pursuing her? She's getting into the house. Right? Now it turns into something else. They're going to have to know, one, that, they're going to have to, they're assuming they know who's in the house, right? So single mom, nanny, former, tier 1 operator dad, you know what I mean? You don't know. So I don't think they're running at her like that. One, I don't think she reacts that quickly without some type of verbal communication from the threat. 2, I don't think she is reacting that fast at all. 3, I don't think the bad guys are pursuing that hard. Once she starts getting in the house, what's their plan? She's not alone, so there's another adult in the house. So they're going to grab her, pull her back to the vehicle, and that's it. The mother's not going to scream. She's not going to hear her child say anything. There's so much here that doesn't look like it's real. So, even though you've got the PD weighing in, even though you got, the neighbors weighing in, I think this is just bullshit. I don't believe this. You know, and again, you're saying like, well, who would do this? I'm like, people do crap for attention all the time.
Shaken, but grateful she's okay. They did not want to be identified.
We're very proud of our daughter for being vigilant and alert.
It just seems like it's not.
It could have been a.
I mean, unless they said something to her.
This is not a kidnapping.
The fact that, you know,
She was awesome.
These guys are. What's up, Tom? Good to have you, brother. The fact that these guys are, you know, there's 2 vehicles in the driveway. They know people are home. They're coming, you know, they're trying to gain access to the home. Morning time, a lot of traffic. I don't know. Again, I feel it's got a little BS feel to it. Please leave your you know, your comments below. Much appreciated. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking that one's clickbait. Again, even though you got the police weighing in and all this stuff, because they're going to respond. Listen, police are going to respond to whatever you say, right? So if you say, hey, you know, you've got footage, they're going to operate on the assumption that it's real. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was kidnapped. Okay, great. So, you know, what else are you going to say? Right? Oh, the little girl did great. Not like, oh, we think her parents put her up to it. I don't know. It just really, really strikes me as odd. So, and yeah. So I don't know. I mean, people do stranger things all the time. Next one I got. All right, 1 second, please. I'll load this up. Okay. All right. So this next one, I'll just let it rip.
I just want to let you know that your car light is on.
Okay, so here you have somebody who is knocking on your door, letting you know your lights are on in your car. Again, this is total clickbait bullshit. Let's just go through in a second.
You are currently being recorded.
Strangers have been going door to door, claiming a car light is on. Do not fall for it. The moment you crack open the door, they strike. You can clearly see their partner lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to force their way inside.
I just wanted to let you know that your car light is on.
You are currently being recorded.
Okay, so pretty straightforward. Here you have somebody who is, you know, and this, you know, look, I mean, they do use ropers, they do use things, so it's a good thing to stay vigilant. Anybody comes to your door that you don't recognize and they say your car lights are on, say thank you very much. You know, you call the police. I mean, if you can't see your car from your driveway, one, how do they know it's your car? Unless your car is parked right in your driveway, then you could say, oh, you know, they don't know if your car's parked in the street, right? What do you know? So how do they know that it's your car? Unless it's in your driveway or, you know, attached to your house in some way. If it's parked in front of your house, it could be anybody's car. So there's that. So someone coming to my house telling me my lights are on my car, you know, it's, you know, there's a lot of easier ways to get somebody out. For example, she could say, hey, I'm in distress, and make up some story about her kid being sick or kid's injured. Please help me. You know, a wide variety of things. She could try to be selling you candy. You know, there's other easier ways to get you to open your door, right? So, the fact is that, you know, there's no way for one, the perpetrator to know, you know, you're alone in the house unless they've cased you. In which case you should be paying attention, because if, again, like I said before, you know, You could have tier 1 operator dad, cleaning his guns. They wouldn't know, and they're going to kick down the door. Most of the times, again, they're going to be casing out your house, making sure, they've got overwhelming force, and they can be successful. So there's that. I mean, let's face it, they could be casing your house from a secluded area, like typically around here. They'll like get in your hedgerow. They'll, they'll wait and they'll look in your windows and they'll make sure like, okay, we got a single mom. She's home with her kid. Okay, we can do this. And if that's the case, if that's who you are, you're immediately calling the police, right? I mean, they're coming in with your lights are on. How do you know they're my lights? How do you know it's my car? It's pretty weird. If it's in my driveway, I could see in my driveway if my lights are on. If it's in front of my house, how do you know that that's my car? It could be neighbors, could be somebody else's. So that case, be very polite and just be like, hey, no problem. In this case, I wouldn't even answer it, or I would say, just through the door, okay, thank you, and just reach out to the PD if this is actually true. I do think this is clickbait. There's always things like this, going on. There used to be one of the guys was, telling me, a cop that I trained with was like, oh yeah, at the mall, there's people that are hiding under your car and they'll slice your ankles with a razor blade to distract you and then come out and steal your car. Obviously never happened. I mean, the fact to get somebody under the vehicle, I mean, there's like all this shit. This is constantly going on. I don't think this particular video is real by any stretch of the imagination, but if you have somebody coming to your door and, you're not armed, it's weird. It's like, times have changed, but yeah, I mean, if you're, you see a single person, and plus you've got this guy who is,
I just want to let you know your car light is on.
I mean, so
stay alert, stay locked in, because once
you got
they're
this
in,
guy
they may
that
not make it
is,
out.
In the street, right? So what's the plan? She busts in the house and then he comes rushing up. Maybe she gets her foot in the door. Maybe she doesn't. Again, anytime you get this stuff, again, of course, like I said, I think this is bullshit, this video, but it's good exercise. Somebody you don't know coming to your door. If you're alone, just don't answer it. Let them do what they need to do. Leave you a note, leave a package. If they're soliciting something, they'll leave something. If it's a political thing, they'll leave a flyer, whatever. That's fine. If you're, confident and you look at, answer your door. I mean, it's weird. It's just how, you think like times have changed. As a kid, you'd have people like salesmen coming and work in the neighborhood, just knocking on doors and just doing, doing that thing. But again, these are the times you live in. You need to be, very, vigilant. So if anybody out of the ordinary is coming to your house, I'm surprised like more Amazon drivers don't get shot. Holy crap. These dudes come in like the middle of the night. It's nuts. And, you're like, what the hell? I see a car coming in my driveway. I'm like, I grab my gun. Sorry. That's just who I am. And, it's usually, again, an Amazon driver. If it's not, you would probably hear something. So, you see these things. It's an okay reminder to manage your personal space, but know that, like, this is clickbait. This particular video is clearly bullshit. I mean, there's so many holes with this, from how do they know it's your car to you could probably, if your car's parked in front of your house, you could probably see it from your window if your lights are on. So it's a really, really easy way to figure out if, what they're saying is real or not. This is, again, this is bullshit, but again, good reminder to, just treat it, look at every situation as, potential threat, right? That's it. Somebody coming to your house, you've got to, just treat it as such. I mean, it's crazy. Again, it doesn't, mostly like home invasions are going to be armed. They're going to be casing your home, and then they're just going to kick down your door, to be honest. Or they may try, you got guys that dress as UPS, or do I need a signature, things like that. If you see a UPS truck, it's probably somebody from UPS. If you just see a guy wearing a UPS uniform, especially if you're living in a city situation, I mean, they do have drop boxes and things like that, so you don't have to interact with them. Be good to, make sure that that's available. If you got a doorman, great. If not, most of the times they'll leave it in a drop, have UPS and all the deliveries to to your mailbox or to a UPS store, and then you go pick it up. That's just it. You don't want to be able to, you don't want to give people access to your, your apartment or your living situation, especially, you got to buzz up or ring up, see a guy in a UPS outfit, you could just be hitting everything, you could just literally, go down the list and just push all the buttons and just be like, I got a delivery, and, somebody is going to let that person in. So that said, be very, be your own, I say like be your own bodyguard, but I like to say like be your own hitman. You're thinking, what could possibly go wrong here. And that's it's just a little shift in your mindset to be a little bit like paranoid. And if a guy's got I got a package for you, I need to sign. It's like, okay, no problem. Put your ID on the peephole, and then you call UPS. And if they don't have an ID, because they all have ID, now and that's it. So it's like, what's your name? Let me see your badge. Put it up to the peephole, and then make a call to UPS, and that's it. But most of the times, you'll be able to they're probably not going to have an ID. They'll have the shirt, they'll have all that, but to go through the whole bit of doing that, I mean, that's like high level movie shit. But yeah, I mean, and then you're going to be waiting hours to, somebody, you could just give them a verbal and just tell them to leave the package there. But yeah, so again, suburban area, not much of it's a little easier because you can see the UPS truck, you can see the delivery truck. Apartments without a doorman or a drop area, it gets a little tricky, and you got to be a little smart about it. And you need to have a plan in place where it's like, okay, so is this person legit or not? And yeah, you're sitting on the hold with UPS, or just have them just leave it at, have it shipped to a UPS or FedEx store. The FedEx goes to the post office, right? So have those, delivered to UPS store if you live in these situations. I mean, you got to protect yourself. You got to make it you got to make yourself a little bit more less accessible to the general public. So, and then the other story I want to talk about tonight is this. Okay. Share. There we go. New York City serial spitter bloodied in street-style justice during epic beatdown. Quote, worse than jail. So apparently this guy has been just walking around the city spitting on people until he spit on the wrong people and got his ass kicked. Yeah, that is what we're looking at. And let me just go here. Here's the story. So let me see. We got a video. Okay, there's going to be a commercial. Bear with me, people. Okay. Why am I looking?
just need more space. I feel like I'm suffocating.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys.
Is this the episode with the breakup?
How will we find the one?
Yes, Reba
Okay, sit
McEntire.
down now. Y'all need Realtor.com,
Right,
the app
so
the pros trust most. With
Anthony
over
Keynes,
500,000 new
the
listings every
sicko,
month,
busted
you
by
can
the
find one
NYPD
today.
for allegedly
See
spitting
it?
in the faces of white
Better put a
women.
key ring
What
on
is
it.
going
You can say
on?
that again.
You better put
So
a key
who passed
ring
him
on
in
it.
Williamsburg? This is Brooklyn.
Make
He's
it
apparently
green
been on the
with
receiving end of some street
Realtor.com.
trial style justice. Video footage shared on social media.
Screen gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a
Tensions between the United States and Venezuela have been building in
No.
a show of force to.
What am I looking at that for, you New York Post? Why are you giving me that shit? I want to see the video. So it's unclear when the footage was shot. Can't just call it. It dealt multiple blows by two attackers whose faces were never shown. Two men laughed to themselves as they kicked Kane and stomp on his legs. Kane started wailing in pain during the beatdown. Clip quickly cuts to image of Kane with a large gash on his forehead above his left eye. Blood streams down the face as down his face as the men issue a final warning. Stop violating these females out here. You heard the man filming the. All of a sudden, I can't read. It's ridiculous. The man filming the footage tells him, "We're tired of that shit." The man explains, "You're making us look bad." Keynes appeared to confirm he understood before saying, "I went to jail, didn't I?" He's like, "F jail, worse than jail." The man yells before the last punch into his head. Keynes was arrested on November 13th for a serial spitting spree. He was released with an ankle monitor the following day after pleading not guilty to charges, including aggravated harassment based on race or religion, according to documents obtained by Post. It's great we have all these hate laws and hate crimes and all that other nonsense, right? It's great. They do so much to prevent this from happening. It's awesome. So here's Keynes was released with an ankle monitor. Yeah, good. I mean, look. Yeah, okay. The guy is, to me, this is like appropriate justice. I mean, do you lock a guy up for spitting on people? I mean, yeah, it's a level of assault, sure. But, the reality is it's like how are you going to hold him? Did he, other than doing something disgusting and vile, he didn't cause any lasting damage other than psychological, right? I mean, again, you've got this rash of men of color attacking, white women, which again, this is probably coming up in my algorithm. You're seeing this when you're seeing the theme of repeat offenders being let out for, minor crimes. I mean, these guys beating the shit out of them probably did them a favor, probably did everybody a favor. And this is where I said, violence never solved anything. Yeah, but it sure stops a lot of crap. I'm like, here you got somebody who, is just, nobody's look. When you're growing up, you're trying to, this is a 45-year-old man, but, I say this, I go, when you're growing up, you step out of line, right? You step out of line with your friends, you step out of line with your family, and you get, appropriately disciplined. Here's a guy, that needed to get the shit beat out of him. So maybe next time, maybe he stops doing it. Maybe that's exactly what he needed. Who knows? Hopefully, he's like, all right, puts it into something more positive. I mean, he pled not guilty. Okay, you got your day in court. But, this is what we're talking to, we're talking to about, maintaining your personal space. Again, somebody spitting on you from a distance, other than like getting out of the way, you're not expecting it. There's not much you can do about that. What I'm worried about, if I were to spit on somebody, excuse me, long day. If I were to spit on somebody, I'm following up with some type of use of force. I mean, I use it as an opening gambit. You know, if I don't have pepper spray or anything like that, I'm like, you're getting sauced, and that's it. You're going to react, and that's really the opening I need. So, you know, you have somebody who, you know, is going around and doing this, and nobody's calling his bluff until somebody finally does. And then what happens? You know, they fold like a cheap tent. Yeah. I mean, we get so, you know, wrapped up into ourselves, and we think these guys are animals. I mean, the broken people, if they were of any substance or any real threat, you know, I don't know. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, anybody who's willing to do this is, you know, who knows what they're capable of. And, you know, you have a right to defend yourself and your dignity. You know, kudos to the guys who, you know, put the beating on this knucklehead. Again, hopefully now we got something, you know, maybe he's learned a lesson. Maybe not, who knows? But, you know, at the end of the day, there comes a time where you need to step up and do something about it. Right. I'm like, you know, you just, if you, what say you? What if you were, you know, walking along and you saw some guy just randomly spit on some woman? What would you do? Film it, say something, do something. Who knows? Right. I mean, you only, you know, and to be honest, you only know, like they say, you ain't seen nothing until you're down on a muffin. You know, you don't know until you get there, man. And that's really it. And that's like a lot of things. I mean, we like to talk about what we would do. I mean, we train and we plan and we do things. And then when the timing's right, hopefully, you know, the switch gets flipped and you do what you need to do to get it done. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I think about, you know, given every time I've been in a situation, and every time now that I think about situation, you know, if I'm sitting outside of it, I think about like having to use force. I don't want to do it. I hate it. I don't like the idea. Maybe that's why that's one of the reasons why I got into this, is because I don't want to, I just have this adverse reaction to actual violence. I don't enjoy it at all. Maybe that's why I just, again, studied it so much. But I know that once the time comes to take that step, I do, and I act. Period. And it's like I don't think about it once it just, the switch goes and you go. I don't. Just kind of surrender to what I need to do. But I don't want to do it. I hate it. I think I'm such a, excuse me, ladies, I think I'm such a pussy when I'm like walking around. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to fight. I don't know. But then there's something in me that's like, hey, say something, do something. What are you doing? And there's been times where, I've stupid. The only times I've really been an issue is when, it's always ego bullshit. But again, like those things, it's like, who cares? I don't even, like, now at this point in my life, I just don't even care about any of that shit. It's like I worry about, real danger, real harm, and helping people, stand up and, do the right things for themselves and their families. So, yeah, I just got to say, these guys, there's people out there, they're broken, they're emboldened. I don't know. I don't have a solution to any of this shit. I don't know anything about it. All I know is how to keep yourself and your family as protected as possible. And that's it. I don't, what causes somebody to do this? I have no idea. I hope, they get, the mental health and counseling that they need. But the reality is, man, we'll talk. I'll talk about, rehabilitation and getting people, with mental illness the help that they need. I'll talk about all that, and I'm all for it, right? But in the moment, there's no room for that. We can talk about, compassion, and helping, and getting people, you're homeless, you're mentally ill. Yeah, man, these people need help, and I'm the first one to say yes. But if they're acting towards myself or my family in a violent manner, then now's not the time, right? It's like we said, like we always use the analogy of the rabid dog. I'm not going to reason with a rabid dog when I'm staring at him. I'm going to want to get him, help, and I want to get him, healthy if I'm not dealing with him. But if you're dealing with a rabid animal, you got to deal with the rabid animal. You got to put it down. But I'm all for helping that, the animals not get rabid. I'm all for helping them, be healthy and safe. But in the moment when they're threatening you, there is no room for that. And that's it. So, look, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, I hope everybody had a good, in the U.S., I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I appreciate everyone for taking the time, for hanging out with us. Again, if you wish, like and subscribe. Leave your comments below, and we'll always answer them. And again, until next time, everybody, train honestly.